Welcome to Exploring Superhuman Strength. My name's Joss, and with me is my friend Dan.
Pleasure.
Dan's been a friend of Martin and I since we were, I think, about 14.
Yeah, we hadn't
And
seen each other in about 20 years, but
yeah,
yeah,
well, I went off to Australia, didn't I? Dan's all that time has been studying martial arts, particularly Shotokan karate.
yeah, my sins.
What's that now?
Tw
29?
29 years of
29 years.
martial arts, but
Okay.
about 23 of Shotokan.
Cool. We started talking about exploring superhuman strength, and Dan immediately went, "Oh, hey, we've got a form just like that in Shotokan." And so I asked him if he'd demonstrate that for this series, and he kindly agreed. But let's put that in a little bit of context. This form, what's it called?
It's called Hangetsu, and
Hang-
it means half moon in Japanese.
Okay. And this form includes the kind of resistance training that we've been talking about.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
And includes using the breath,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
also includes using an emotional charge into it as well.
Or some kind of content. It doesn't necessarily have to be emotional,
Okay.
but that often helps motivate someone to
Yeah.
keep doing something.
Cool. Okay. What I saw you demonstrate was a really quite short, powerful form that started with slow movements. Is that where you're building strength and
Yeah,
focus?
coiling the spring.
Ah, cool. Right. And then it really explodes
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
end. Okay. When you're practicing that, you say it feels like you're building power, like
yeah,
release,
yeah,
like you're
yeah.
coiling a spring.
Definitely, definitely.
Okay, that's really cool. Now, we've seen similar things to that in Shaolin. Do you believe there's a link between the Chinese system and the Japanese?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
If you look at the history of karate,
Yeah.
you have it goes back to, obviously to Japan and Funakoshi.
Funakoshi.
Yep,
Okay.
Fukuchi and Funakoshi came from Okinawa.
Right.
The origins of karate are sketchy, but there's a direct link between the Bubishi,
Yeah.
which is a set of documents
Right.
that came from probably southern China.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty accurate that it should have came there.
Yeah.
And then they are developed from White Crane Kung Fu
Hmm.
and Iron Monk boxing.
Iron Monk. Okay, so that's pretty, yeah, good.
Yeah.
I like the sound of Iron Monk. I mean, karate people I associate with amazing physical feats like high jumps, breaking stuff,
Mm.
but also their discipline, their focus. And I think for the people who've really focused on the do, the way of martial arts, there's a moral and spiritual development there as well.
Definitely. I think when you look at the way modern martial arts are going, they're going much more on external moves. If you look at, I'm not knocking cage fighting or MMA or any MMA teachers. I'm not interested in knocking anyone or saying anything negative. But what I would like to see more
Mm.
is more dough and more moral guidance for young, especially young men getting involved in this,
Yeah.
because a lot of them are getting exploited and a lot into contests, and a lot of them are not learning something that would have been mandatory in early martial
Yeah.
arts, which is to understand that if you go at hurting people and you go at elbowing someone in the face on the floor or choking them unconscious, there is consequences to that,
Mm.
and that doesn't make you a better person.
What I've really noticed in yoga is the emphasis that the health of benefits and those kind of abilities, they almost come as a side effect of the spiritual and moral practice.
Mm.
You could say, I suppose, the same thing in karate, that the physical abilities and skills come as a part of the kind of focus that you learn through practicing kata and maybe through meditation as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of modern karate has lost its way a bit.
Okay,
I think it has been, not all, but just a lot, because a lot of people have no concept of these things,
cool. Okay,
and that's a real shame.
right.
But there are a lot of karate practitioners that are still preserving that.
Cool. Now, do you think that Hengetsu would be a way of developing strength?
Yes, and I have a little experiment for
All right.
people.
Cool, cool.
Okay, I would like, especially, this is not so much to beginners, but this is for people who already know the kata are already bored with it, especially those who are bored with it,
Okay.
because it isn't particularly the most interesting. It hasn't got loads of flying jumps and big movements, but I'd be really curious because this is something I did myself a long while ago. What I would like you to do, if you're interested, is measure your own strength in some way.
Take the challenge.
Measure your own strength in some way, whether it's by arm wrestling a friend, getting some kind of machine that tests your resistances against things,
Before and after photos?
uh, if you wish,
Showing
yeah, you
physical
could do,
development?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you could do before and after photos. Wait and just get and write it down and get a record of what you can do. It doesn't have to be nothing extreme, but just get a record of your limits in some way. Then practice the kata 5 times a day and practice it hard. Put some energy into it.
Well, the form takes 2 minutes, so we're talking about 10 minutes a day to do
Yeah,
this.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and then just see at the end of that 2 week period
Hmm.
what kind of result changes it.
Cool.
Now, if you say, well, I did it for 2 weeks and I didn't get no change, did you put any effort in? Because if you do any form of training and put a basic level of effort in, you always get a response. What I'm interested in is what kind of a response you get.
Yeah, cool. If we were to be consistent with the Yi Jing and with the Indian equivalent, what we'd be looking for is resistance training with the movement, breathing into that muscle, and
Mm,
also having an intention there, maybe picturing the strength gain
mm,
and the health gain associated with it.
mm.
Would that be consistent and get to? Would that be a fair way of approaching it?
With Hengetsu, yeah, I would give the guidance I would give to someone is do it soft first, get the feel of the kata, get the kind of movement, and take your time with it. Get it concise. All right. This is not about because this is what you do in self-defense. No, it's not about that. This is a completely different concept you're talking about, much deeper than self-defense. Okay. The second stage is to put breath, so you feel the movement with a little bit of resistance. And then the third stage is to put much more resistance and put much more content. Myself, I like to put frustration and aggression into things because I get frustrated, and it's a positive avenue to use that motion to motivate me to train.
Yeah. Okay.
Though you can do the opposite, though you can put serenity into it.
Yeah, cool, cool. So you'll be able to see a demonstration of this now on the channel. And we'll also have a link to Dan's YouTube channel, Aim High. If you
Thank
have
you.
any questions or comments, please put them below. Thanks very much for coming and talking to
Thank you
us.
for having me.
Okay.
Cool. See you again.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this kata 3 times in the 3 different ways that I described. Now there may be differences from Shotokan style to Shotokan. I'm going to do it the way I've been taught it and the way I know it. So that will be my way. Okay. So the first way is going to be soft. So, and this is just the soft way. The second version of Hangetsu is done with a bit of resistance, and you're starting to do the breath much more so in the kata. Okay. The third version is going to be much more energy, much more resistance, much more content, much more surge into what we do. Hangetsu.